I'm Corbett Wall with USDA Market News, here with your weekly feeder and stocker cattle market summary for the week ending February the 7th, where this whole week of wintry weather, snowstorms, bitter cold temperatures, pretty much all across the nation there, it just didn't allow enough trade to fully test the market. Auction markets across the nation were forced to close their sales or run on limited receipts due to the cold weather. Actually, your best test of markets was down in the southeast, where they were needing to sell some cattle because they'd been mostly shut down last week due to that ice storm. And then up in the northern plains of North and South Dakota, they had good sales up there. And those people are just simply tougher than the rest of us. They had bitter cold temperatures all week long up there, 20, 30 below, and still have a sale with 5,000-6,000 head and good demand, and everything just going like normal up there. And it's unbelievable they can do that, but they just have to learn to live with that. But lower undertones everywhere where cattle were sold. Where there was enough trade to really call a market, steady to mostly $5 lower prevailed. Your nationwide auction receipts were down 39% from last week. In big auction states like Missouri, your auction receipts were down 80% this week compared to last week, as it had about a foot of snow cover most of the state and fell on Tuesday afternoon, and it was well advertised it was coming. A lot of your Tuesday sales either canceled because of that or had very few cattle on hand. Your country trade, and we talk about the auctions all the time, that's where we get the best test, but your direct sales, your country trade on feeder cattle has also been pretty slow, and it's normally slow when everything's shut down like this, as your direct trade buyers and sellers look to the auctions kind of for the market to go by. And it's been also slow, even on your out front trade, it's been slow. But your country trading on your feeder cattle, direct sales, has had a hard time keeping up with this wild market that we've had this winter on feeder cattle. Also, your CME board, both live cattle and feeder cattle futures, have had a hard time keeping up with the cash market. And your fat cattle trade and your live cattle futures never really did come together. And that's the reason why this week we had such a big drop in there. Is we had 2 weeks ago, we were up to $1.50 in Nebraska on live sales, and this week never really did get a market established, as buyers and sellers are having a hard time coming together. And a lot of that reason was because the board didn't give any support. Your board's sitting just over $1.40 there, and the guys still want $1.48, $1.50, but ended up having just a few sales in Nebraska from 140 to 141, which actually puts your board at a premium to cash now, after it didn't give any support to that last run-up where we was at record levels. But just slow trade of all classes of cattle because of the weather, and your fat cattle because of reasons we just said. Your dressed beef markets, we saw that sticker shock kind of come back and reverberate back this week after it really got up there a week or so ago. And your retailers are just buying just their basic needs just to fill immediate demand there, and not really advertising anything because it's such a high price. So we're not seeing any big sales. Nobody's looking for any beef steaks to grill out right now, the way the weather is and everything. But everything was really slow. Could have been really slow because so many of the big players in the cattle and the beef were at the NCBA convention out in Nashville, and a lot of the bosses were out there mingling with each other, and didn't see a lot of trade of any kind happen this week as far as cattle and beef went. While your producers, not merely as many of them, maybe only the ones right around Nashville that could drive there would go, but your producers were home trying to keep cattle fed and watered and all this bitter cold temperatures, which it's just, you really find out who you are when you got, you know, temperatures well below zero, ice and snow falling, and just it's hard on equipment and people and cattle and everything. But it's so important to keep those cattle fed, and they need watered as bad then as they do when it's 100 degrees out. And a lot of the first calves of the calving season have been falling this week and the last couple of weeks, and And boy, when those babies that are worth so much money, when we talk about price levels we've got right now, when they hit the ground in a snowdrift, it's really a struggle. And your producers are always wanting to save those calves. It doesn't matter if they're worth 50 cents a pound. They just want to save them. They give it their all to save them. But when you figure that baby calf might be worth $500, $600, $700, you really want to save it. And the guys will do everything they can do to try to do that. Also, these producers are looking for replacement heifers. Their cattle have brought enough money this year, the cattle sales, that they can afford maybe to buy some more heifers or keep back some of their better heifers. But a lot of guys looking to just start from scratch with some different herd lines there. And replacement heifers in the auctions are really selling well. Last Friday at Burwell, Nebraska, we saw an awful lot of demand for all the good feeders they had there, even though the market's a little bit lower, but especially for these replacement quality heifers. And you get to thinking that everybody raises black Angus cattle anymore because of all the promotion that Angus has done, and the premiums you can get for those cattle when you get to the packer. But people are individuals. They're going to do what they want to do. That's what makes this such a great thing to be in. Whatever you want to raise. If you want to raise tiger stripes, raise tiger stripes. Whatever you want to do. And people are going to continue to do that because they can. But at Burwell, Nebraska, they had a set of 670-pound replacement quality Hereford heifers, bring $2.24 a pound. The F1 Black Baldies weigh 686 at $2.35 a pound. So they're really not backing up on those cattle that aren't all straight black or straight Angus there. Even though probably it's understated that Angus is dominant in this industry right now. But did get some good rains in California. I know you folks that are watching this from the West Coast think that I don't think you exist out there. I just don't get a lot of market prices from that part of the country, but did get good rains in California. Looks like the Sierras are going to get some snowpack out of this storm here, which is badly needed for this horrible 100-year drought that the California people have been in. Reasonable weighted averages this week in the north central states: 800 to 900 pound steer cost you $161.46 compared to $165.60 last week and $139.69 a year ago. Down in the south central states, a 600 to 700 pound steer cost you $179.40 compared to $182.24 last week and $155.37 a year ago. Down in the southeast, a 4 to 5 weight steer on order cost you $196.98 compared to $200.33 last week and $178.21 a year ago this week. That wraps up your feeder and stocker cattle market summary. Check out our website for more market information at marketnews.usda.gov. From the Regional Market News Office in St. Joe, Missouri. We'll talk to you next week.